Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be diving in.
So today we're looking at a story you probably think you know, right? Family betrayal.
A classic theme.
But this one has a twist you might not see coming. Because usually these stories are all about revenge, getting even.
Yeah, that's the usual path. Payback.
Exactly. But our source today, it's this really insightful piece from Fazioli Publishing's Daily Bible Study, looking at Genesis chapter 45, verses 1 to 28. And it just flips that expectation completely. So our mission, really, in this deep dive is to try and understand the power of forgiveness shown here.
And maybe how it connects, to things you might be dealing with yourself.
Yeah, could it speak to your own life? That's the question.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This deep-seated human thing, wanting fairness when we're hurt.
Totally.
So when a story like this one just deliberately veers off that track, it really makes you pause, makes you think about what's really going on.
Absolutely. Okay, so just to quickly recap, Joseph's early life, not great.
Understatement.
Right. His dad, Jacob, clearly played favorites. And, well, surprise, surprise, his 11 brothers were not fans.
Not at all. Jealousy is a powerful thing.
It escalated, like massively. They threw him in a pit. Can you even imagine? And then, get this, they actually sold him into slavery in Egypt.
Sold their own brother.
And it didn't stop. False accusations, prison time, the whole 9 yards. But somehow, after all that, years cut off from everyone, Joseph rises up, becomes the top dog in Egypt, basically second only to Pharaoh.
It's an incredible trajectory, but think about those years in between, the potential for just deep, corrosive bitterness.
Well, for sure.
Betrayal by family, losing freedom, probably thinking he'd never see them again. It sets such a dramatic stage for when his brothers finally show up in Egypt.
Yeah, desperate for food during this famine. And they have zero clue who they're talking to.
None at all. They're bowing down to this powerful Egyptian governor who is actually their long-lost brother.
Okay, and here's where the story it flips the script. Joseph's been testing them, seeing if they've changed.
Right, putting them through the ringer a bit.
And then he just hits his limit. The source describes it as this huge wave of emotion, love, grief, just everything comes pouring out. He sends everyone else out of the room.
So it's just him and his brothers?
Just them. And then, this incredibly raw moment, he just cries out, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?"
Wow. Imagine the shock.
Total shock. They thought he was dead and buried history. Now he's standing there holding all the power. The text says they were basically frozen, couldn't speak, just terrified.
Well, yeah, they're face-to-face with the guy they tried to destroy, and he could do anything to them.
Anything.
And our gut reaction, what stories often teach us, is, okay, now comes the payback.
The retribution. He holds all the cards. He could make them suffer.
That's what the world expects, often. An eye for an eye,
But he doesn't. He picks this completely different route. Grace. It's really something.
Absolutely remarkable.
His words are just dead. Wow. Do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life.
It's a total 180 from what they and probably what we would expect in that moment.
Right.
And what's key here, I think, is how Joseph sees it. He doesn't brush off what they did. He says it plain. You sold me here. He acknowledges the pain.
Doesn't minimize it.
No. But then he immediately reframes it. He sees, or believes he sees, a bigger picture, like a divine plan. God sent me to preserve life.
Yeah, the study really highlights that. This idea, what others meant for evil, God used for good. It's not saying what the brothers did was okay, not at all. But it shows Joseph's, I guess, ability to look at his whole life, even their horrible actions, from this different viewpoint.
Seeing a kind of higher purpose at work.
Exactly. And the study suggests that adopting that perspective, seeing things through that lens, can actually stop bitterness from just taking over your life.
And it's crucial, as the source points out, that Joseph didn't deny the pain. He wasn't pretending it was all right. Forgiveness here isn't like saying, forget about it. It's more like Joseph actively choosing not to be defined by that trauma anymore.
Not letting it control him now.
Precisely, not letting it poison his present or his future.
And what happens next isn't just talk. It's like deeply emotional. He hugs his brothers, weeps with them.
Real reconciliation.
Yeah. And his focus immediately shifts. Not about the past wrongs, but about their needs now. He tells them, hurry, go get Dad. Tell him Joseph's alive. Come down here. Don't wait. I'll take care of you.
Think about that. The very people who wanted him gone
Gone? Dead.
are now told to bring the whole family to be saved by him. It's just a stunning picture of grace.
It really is.
It perfectly illustrates this idea of redemption, doesn't it? Being rescued by the one you hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Which naturally kind of leads to the question the study asks you, the listener, directly.
Right? It asks, who in your life needs this kind of forgiveness? Makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About old hurts, betrayals, maybe still lingering.
Yeah. And the study gives a really helpful definition of what this forgiveness looks like.
It does. It says it's not about excusing the sin. It is about releasing the burden.
Releasing the burden, that's powerful.
It is. Stepping out of the prison of bitterness and into the freedom of grace. Because holding on to that anger, it feels like you're the one locked up sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. You carry that weight. And this idea the source brings up, divine restoration.
Yeah.
That's so important too. It talks about healing, mending what's broken, even transforming the harm into something ultimately good.
Like turning it around.
Exactly. And the study offers this really hopeful message. Just as Joseph's story did not end in pain, neither will yours.
That's a big promise, a sense of possibility, even if you've been through something really tough.
It points towards something bigger, doesn't it? A power that can reunite families, heal deep wounds, bring beauty from ashes, as it says.
It's a message that kind of resonates beyond just one belief system, I think. That universal desire for healing after we've suffered.
Definitely. And look at the effect on the brothers. They leave Egypt not just with sacks of grain.
Which they desperately needed.
Right, but the text implies they leave with peace. That weight, that guilt from the past, it's lifted. They're not captive to it anymore.
Shows how forgiveness frees everyone, not just the forgiver.
It really does. Which leads to this very direct, almost like a command in the study, aimed right at you listening. Walk in that same peace. Forgive, let go, reconcile.
And the kicker is?
Not because they deserve it.
Right, not about them earning it.
But because you are called to something greater. It puts the focus back on your freedom, your own release.
Right, your liberation from it all.
And that final thought in the source just wraps up so well. Just as Joseph's story ended in restoration, so will yours.
Leaves you with hope. That healing, a better future, it's possible no matter the past hurts.
A powerful note to end on.
So, something to think about as you go about your day.
Yeah.
What if you could look at some of those old hurts differently? Maybe not just as, random suffering, but maybe through a bigger lens, like Jospeh did.
Seeing some kind of purpose, perhaps?
Perhaps. And what kind of freedom, maybe unexpected freedom, could you find if you let go of needing that payback, that retribution?
Definitely food for thought.
For sure. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.